Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Every Day is Saturday. I'm Matt Stahl, along with my partner, Brad Gatto, and we have a special guest with us here today. We're going to be doing one of my favorite types of episodes. We're introducing a new member of the Fiat team. So today we have Lauren Brown with us, and we're going to learn a little bit more about you.
Well, yeah, welcome everybody. This is Brad, and I agree with you, Matt. I love the episodes where we get an opportunity to highlight a new member of the Fiat team. And this story, particularly, in my opinion, is very interesting, not only in how we found her, but her past experience. So no pressure, Lauren, to make your story interesting, but welcome to the podcast. Thanks for being here.
We expected this to be the most interesting podcast.
This is going to be the best one we've ever done.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. So thanks for joining. That said, Lauren, I think the best place to start is just more about who you are personally before we kind of get into the Fiat side of the story. So, we don't need to start at the beginning.
Yeah.
But where'd you grow up? How'd you happen to financial services?
All right. Well, I grew up here in Minnesota, born and raised, not too far from here in Edina. I currently live in Eden Prairie, and I've got two kids. They're 12. Mason, my son's 12. He's almost 13. And then my daughter, Aubrey, is 11. I actually got into the financial services industry because my mom was a financial advisor. So my whole life, She was a financial advisor. She had a really interesting story. She started out as back in the 80s when we were brokers and not financial advisors. And, so that was really fun.
For who do you, doesn't need to be about your mom necessarily, but very interesting. I actually remember talking to you about this when I met you, because finding in our industry is male dominated. It's very, very heavy men advisors. And so it was interesting enough to find a female, to meet a female advisor like yourself. And then for you to tell me your mom also in a time where it was even more rare. It's rare today, but in the 80s, it was like finding two unicorns.
Yeah.
Rare.
Yeah. And I didn't really realize how interesting of a story it was till recently, till I was in it, and actually in the industry for a few years. Because growing up, it was one of those things where I never really understood what my mom did. When people would say what does she do for work? I'd be like, she works with money, I didn't know. I didn't know what she did. I had no interest in it whatsoever. And I didn't realize how, kind of trailblazing it was. Although you'd ask her today and she gets really embarrassed. She would never say it's trailblazing or anything like that. So, but it really was. And so my background, I went to school to be a teacher. Early childhood development is my degree. I was a preschool teacher, pre-K, did that for a little while. And then I got pregnant with my first child, and I kind of was like, I don't know if I really want to do this anymore. It's hard to have children and be around children, and even though I loved it, and honestly, wanted to make more money, to be quite frank, right? I wanted to maybe have more of a career focus that way. So my mom was like, well, why don't you come work with me for a little while, just doing very, menial tasks like filing and, that kind of thing. So greeting clients. I really actually wasn't, doing much, but I was pregnant and doing that and working part-time there. And then after.
Where was that at?
It's a firm called All Star Financial. They're still around. My mom worked there for 20 some years. They were one of the first RIAs. So she was a broker, and then worked for Smith Barney and, those kind of the older wirehouses. And then her boss started this RIA in the early 90s when it was kind of unheard of. So, yeah.
So started there. So from being pregnant and filing, what was go from that point?
And then I decided to just start looking around at other, opportunities. And so
you wanted to leave your mom?
No, I didn't. I really didn't. I didn't. I really liked working there, but I kind of was like, I don't know if I want to continue to work, with my mom. And, it's just kind of hard with family and everything like that. So I was looking around and found a position as administrative assistant, executive assistant for a guy who had just a small firm in Bloomington, and I was there for 10 years. Again, like enjoyed the industry, but didn't really want to do. If you had asked me to be a financial advisor, I would say no. Like I was like, nope, I don't want to do it. I like doing what I'm doing. But then he just kind of started getting really busy and was like, will you just help me with some of these clients, like get licensed and just help me, or take, do life insurance, or, just kind of that stuff. And so I just started doing that, just basically helping him out. I got licensed. And then really, as I started working with people and talking with people and like, figuring out their problems and helping them, like I realized that this industry it's all about like helping people. It's, there's like investments and numbers and, all of that kind of stuff, but that was not what I fell in love with. I fell in love with talking to people every single day, helping them solve their problems, that kind of thing. And so it just kind of built.
So from Bloomington, how long were you, like, when did you, you gave the age of your kids. So you basically started in this industry, 12, 13 years ago then?
Yeah.
And a couple stops, started with mom, moved to Bloomington. And so how did you end up at Fiat? How to bring us from Bloomington to Fiat?
I was in Bloomington for 10 years. And then I went to another firm in Wayzata for a couple years and worked there as a CFP. And then I ended up here at Fiat. So just kind of hopped over
just like that.
Lake Street to
to the north side.
Yeah, to the north
Wayzata.
side. Yeah.
When did you get your CFP?
In 2017.
Okay.
And so talk about that a little bit, because it's not, I don't want to breeze past, you breezed past it and you're humble, but like, it's a big deal. It's a big test. It's a lot of studying. It's essentially a master's in financial planning. So talk to me about that process. Why did you decide to do it? How did you find time, having 2 kids and a job, to study for it? Like,
yeah, it was one of those things where like I knew I wanted it. My mom, she had it and she really stressed the importance of it. And so just kind of having that hindsight too, she's like, this is something you really need to get. And I knew that I wanted it eventually, and I had gotten licensed, and it was one of those things where it's like, you do the courses and you take the test and all of that. And I'm like, well, if I stop now and take a break, cause it's like you get your 7 and you're 66. And I'm like, if I take a break for a couple of years, like I just won't go back to do it. So like, it was one of those things where it's like, I'm just going to continue on. So then I just started the courses and just kind of like powered through. I was already kind of in that mode of, studying and building and that kind of thing. And it was hard. I mean, having 2 little kids and working and doing it, but I'm like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to go back and do it. I've had other, friends in the industry who are said, they've either started it and then took a break, and they just don't go back. And I just didn't want to do that. I knew too, like you said, it's a male dominated industry, and just having that leg up being a CFP. And it also kind of helped me learn too. Like it was like, that's kind of how I learned about just certain things within the industry, just being really new to it. So, yeah.
So started at Fiat when?
Last September 2023.
September of 2023, you've joined us. And so another advisor here at the firm. What has kept you in the industry? It's one thing to get into it, because obviously you came out of being a preschool teacher. Yeah. My background is youth ministry. It's another thing we connected on the first time we talked, was you don't get out of school with a degree in youth ministry or in elementary education and be like, I'm going to be a financial advisor. This is normal.
Right.
Now, obviously, with your mom being in the industry, that's one connection point, but that can get you there. But there's something else that keeps you there. What passion have you found, or what keeps you in this industry at this point?
I just think it's my clients. Like, if I could just meet with clients every single day and talk to families, talk to couples, like I love knowing about people's lives. I love helping solve problems. Like that's really what keeps me here. And I'm really passionate about it. And also I've learned to just kind of have this passion for like women in the industry and just helping other women, like, whether it's clients, grow finances, grow their knowledge around finances, or other just like financial advisors that are women. Like that's really a passion for me too. Yeah. And I really just feel like that's kind of like my purpose.
Go ahead.
What does Lauren do outside of the office? What are your hobbies, interests?
Let's see. Well, I have 2 kids, so that takes up a lot. My son's
And that's
in
it.
hockey.
That's all you
That's it. That's pretty much, that's hey, you said it right there.
Yeah. I know they're busy hockey, and my daughter's in cheer, and so super busy with that. But I really love to hike in the summer. Like, I love just to take my kids on, like, we find like hiking trails, and I love to do that. I like to read. I like to, listen to podcasts. I don't know. I like to just do all that kind of fun stuff. So,
Are you going to listen to this?
I am.
Okay.
I am. I might be probably not my voice is. I never like my voice in recordings. So.
One of the things you've said in the past, the language you used in the past when it came to your kids is that you're an unapologetic hockey mom.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Tell me what that means, because not everybody's from Minnesota.
No, I
And
know.
So hockey here is like a culture thing. It's like a cult almost.
Mm-hmm.
And by almost, I mean it is.
Yeah.
So a hockey mom carries a lot of definition to it. So
It does.
what does that mean to you?
It carries a lot of weight. And like when you hear hockey mom, you just think of these like total like screaming, like, just like insane, obsessed moms and and I think it can be really cool. Like I'm not going to say I'm totally like that, but I just think the culture is cool, and I think that, it's a great culture, and it's not what you think it is. And so we've like really cultivated like this little hockey family, and my son's played on teams with kids since he was, 7 years old.
Yep. Cool.
And it's like they've just kind of done this ride together. And so like just having just something like that, I think is nice, and I'm unapologetic about it. Like I will, cheer and scream, and Mason has to tell me to settle down.
Did you play hockey growing up?
No,
Okay.
I didn't. I knew nothing about it. I knew zero about it, and I knew I so did not know anything about it that like I was like, when my ex-husband was like, yeah, let's put Mason in hockey, I'm like, sure. I didn't even think about it. I was like, that sounds great. I didn't think about the expense.
Is that a sport?
Yeah,
What is that?
I was like, oh, okay. There's like this whole thing, even though I grew up in Edina, but I just was so out of that realm.
So what was your hobbies growing up? If it wasn't hockey, growing up in Edina, Minnesota, what was it?
What did I do? I did competitive cheer. So
Okay.
that was what I did at Edina. And I mean, that's a sport as well. I almost said I didn't do sports, but it was sports. So yeah, I did that.
Yeah, don't say your daughter's in cheer.
I
now.
know.
You're-
Yeah.
I know.
Do you have like some talent that's kept up with you? So could you like bust out a flip or something?
No,
right
I cannot. I cannot. I was the cheerleader that was like, because I wasn't in gymnastics or anything growing up, so that didn't help me any. But I was the one that was in the back. When it was time to tumble, like Lauren was in the back. I could do my back handspring. That was it.
Could you still do one to this day?
No.
Okay.
No.
I think you can.
No.
You should try it right
Yeah.
now.
Gosh,
I think so.
No.
Pause.
Maybe a cartwheel. Maybe.
She does have her CFP though.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Right.
Much
that's
more relevant.
way more impressive than a backhand spring.
Yeah.
So just talk a little bit about now that you're here and you've been here for a handful of months, and you talked a little bit about your passion of why you've chosen to stay in this industry. And you alluded to this whole idea of women in finance and helping women. It's something, again, you and I connected on because I'm not a woman, but it is a passion of mine too, because I grew up with a single mom, and helping women who are single or are widowed or what have you, because it is also true that we work primarily with baby boomers and that generation, for good or for bad. I'm not saying this is the right thing to do. It's a male-dominated, not just advisor world, but it's a male-dominated finance world. And in personal finance, in most marriages, the men control the money, right, wrong, or indifferent. There's no comment there of like, that's the right way to do it. I just want to be very clear here. But I know you have a passion around it. And so can you just kind of break that down a little bit more of what that means to you and kind of what your hope is in your time in from today forward in this industry and what you're going to try to accomplish?
Yeah, well, and then I think one of the things that drew me to Fiat too was just like the education, that we offer here, and that's kind of where I am too, and just educating women because it's like there is a disconnect in like that financial literacy between men and women. You know, we talk to, you know, as boys grow up, we talk about investments and things like that. And, you know, women, it's very stereotypical, but it is what it is. Like, you know, maybe they're more in charge of the budget and things like that. And it's really just kind of like empowering them to know what they know about finance. And I've dealt with a lot of widows who didn't know anything, you know, and all of a sudden their, you know, husband died, and now they have to deal with all the, you know, the finances and navigating all of that, and just, you know, empowering women and that education and financial literacy of like, you know, before something happens, before there's a divorce or a death, like know what you have and just for their own, you know, security too, like take care of yourself, because you just don't know what's going to happen. You can't rely on somebody. You know, unfortunately.
We as advisors live in the world of stories because you are spending so much time with people and you're getting to know them. What is your favorite story?
Like for clients?
Yeah.
What is my favorite story?
She's going to say, that's a good question.
I know. Ooh, I don't know. Let's see. I might have been stumped. I don't know if I can think of like a specific client story, but I have helped a lot. I feel like I have helped a lot of women when I go into a meeting, and I feel like one of my kind of like, I don't know if it's like I hate saying superpower, but one of my
You can go ahead and say
superpower is like so when you're in this industry and it's a first meeting and you go in, like people always have this armor up, right? Yep. And I think and they're like, what are you going to sell me? What's going to happen? You know, I think I'm really good at like disarming people. Mm-hmm. So some of my best like stories and some of my like what I'm most passionate about or what I love is like when I go into a meeting and like I can just totally tell there's someone has this wall up, and then by the end of the meeting it's like, you know, it's very disarming. I've had, you know, people kind of like really open up to me, even like in a first meeting. I had this woman, and she came in and she, you know, she was like she had a high level job. She was an executive. And then by the end of the meeting, like she was like, well, I'm thinking of like getting a divorce. And I'm, you know, she was like just starting to open up. And I really feel like that is, you know, one of those things where like it really helps kind of disarm it and bring kind of this, you know,
awesome,
what it means to have like financial literacy. So,
yeah. So is there anything that we haven't asked you about, a part of your story, whether it relates to what your career here at Fiat or just personally, that you think is important for people to know about Lauren?
I don't think so. I think
we crushed it.
I think
We're
you
such
did.
Good question answers.
I think
askers.
You did. I can't really think of anything. I mean, I really, yeah, like it's kind of what I'm about. So, and just
raising two kids.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good.
And working.
Are you a Vikings fan?
I am. Yeah, I am. I'm from Minnesota, so I guess.
Sure, fine. Put that badge on me.
I'm the worst. So, like, ask about that. We watch a lot of hockey, and I know, yeah, the hockey's always, and football's always on, but that's just my son. He just watches sports all the time, so I ask him.
Sounds great to me. One of the things we like to do at the end of these episodes is what we call 5 fast questions. We do not prepare these questions. They're whatever come to the top of our head, and we just want your gut reaction to these questions. It's just kind of fun, but also informational for the listeners. So we're going to move on to our 5 fast questions. I will start with the first question. You mentioned earlier, Lauren, that you didn't use the word voracious, but you definitely said you love reading and podcasts. Mm-hmm. What is one book that you would recommend to our listeners to read?
What have I just read in like the last? So I'm really into, it's kind of like hippity dippity, but I'm really into like,
it's a technical term.
I know. I'm really into like, you know, the Power of Now by, is it Eckhart Tolle? Yep. Yeah. I'm really into like those kind of books, like manifesting, like, that kind of thing. So I love that book. That's
The Power of Now. By who is the author?
Eckhart Tolle.
Yes.
His
Okay.
voice is like, did you listen to it or did you read it?
I listened to it. Yeah.
His voice is very strangely soothing as well.
It is.
Yes.
It is. Yeah. But like, yeah, those are my favorite. And those are my favorite kind of podcasts too. So.
So now this doesn't count as question number 2, but then what does that lead to for podcasts? Like what's an example of that in the podcast world? Because I don't even know.
There is, well, this is a book too, but there's this author, and he has a podcast too. It's called his name is Michael Singer, and he's got the Surrender Experiment. That was a book that I read, and then he also has a podcast. So it's like that. I mean, it's just kind of more of like, I don't know, like I love that kind of
Sure.
stuff. It like really helps. Like I listen to it on my way into work in the mornings, and yeah. So yeah.
All right. Go ahead.
What would be your last meal? What would you choose?
Tacos.
Tacos. Like,
Tacos.
be
I love
more
any kind
specific.
of, any
Be more
kind
specific.
of taco. Not like Taco Bell tacos, but just like
Any kind, but not these ones.
No. But like any kind of taco. I could eat tacos all day long, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I love tacos. It's my favorite. Hands
I
down.
love tacos as well.
Do you have a favorite taco place?
By my house, there's like this little Mexican place, and it's just like a little local Mexican place, and they have the best Mexican food ever. They have this El Pastor tacos, where it's like marinated with like the pineapple, and oh, so good. I love those.
There's a Mexican restaurant down by the airport that was on Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives. I'm forgetting the name of it right now.
Oh yeah, it's like off a
I don't think I
Penn
know that
or
one.
This
Lindale.
would be a really cool story if I knew the name of it. Anyway, doesn't matter. It's very good.
I've
They
been
have
there.
they have great El Pastor tacos specifically, which just made me think of it.
Yep.
Um,
Forgot about that place.
that's a good answer. I love tacos. Next question.
I mean, if someone doesn't like tacos, you're gonna question. It's like saying they like cats better than dogs.
Well, right.
Do you like cats better than dogs?
No.
Have you ever thought about the fact that all Mexican food's the same? It's just constructed differently.
Oh yeah, it's genius.
Yeah.
The genius of it.
We wrap it up,
That
or you
is
get it
true.
open
You
face,
flatten
or
it.
we deconstruct it into a nacho,
You
or
flatten it out.
whatever. Yeah,
Yep.
flatten it out.
Yeah,
It's all the
that
same
is so
stuff.
true. I never thought of that.
Genius.
That is
Genius.
true.
That's what it is.
And I like all of it,
Good.
which isn't saying a lot because it's not. It's all the same stuff. Okay, next question. If you could live anywhere, where would it be?
I could live anywhere. Gosh, that's such a good question because I have thought about it before. I've never moved away. I've only lived in Minnesota, so I have thought of it. I would say this is really dumb because it's still Midwest, but I'd live in Chicago. I love Chicago.
Anywhere on the planet, you go to Chicago?
Oh my
I'm such a Midwestern girl. Like, I don't know. I love Chicago. It's not
Have you
too
been
far.
out of the country?
I have, but I don't know if I'd want to live there.
Okay.
Like I went to Norway this summer. I love Norway. I think that's great. Like Bergen was such a great city, but I don't know if I'd want to live there. I would want to be close to home, and I like the Midwest, but I really do love Chicago. I know it's weird. I wouldn't
What
want to live
about
in New
Chicago?
York.
No offense to Chicago. If you're from Chicago,
I know. I don't know.
But what do you love about Chicago?
Because it's like a big city with a Midwestern feel, and I don't know. I just love the people. I love it, and I don't have family there. I don't know. But I've never been.
Just
to
love the Cubs or what?
I know, isn't that dumb? That's the dumb. That's
Hot
the dumb
dogs,
answer,
delicious
but-
hot dogs.
I gotta be honest. You could have given me 100 guesses. That would not have been on. I would have been 0 for 100.
I know.
All right, learn something new. Love it.
I don't travel far from home. So.
All right.
What is one thing that's on your bucket list?
One thing on my bucket list. Oof. That's a good question. Gosh.
Want to go to Chicago.
I want to go to Chicago. I want to see the bean. What do I want to do? You know what? I would really like. So I'm really into like kind of that my hippity dippity books and stuff. But like the blue zones, like I really would love to go to one of those, like one of the blue zone areas and like really.
I don't know what that means. What's a blue zone?
It's like it's like it's where people live like past 100 and like in record numbers. Like I'm really saying it really, really wrong. But
You
I mean,
just
it's
don't
like
eat bagels and bologna.
there's like it's like the way that they
Problem
eat
solved.
and the way that they live and the way that they like,
Yeah.
you know, it's their culture
Okay.
is not, you know, and I would really like to go to one of those places and just kind of like immerse myself in the culture. Do something like that.
Sardinia, that's one of them, isn't it?
Yeah. Yep. Sardinia. And then there's like,
That's a real place?
Isn't it like
Like
there's a
Italy.
place in California?
Yeah, San Luis Obispo.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. And just kind of,
Okay.
I don't know. I'm really like interested in that kind of stuff. Like, I don't know.
Lauren, have you picked up on the fact that Matt is also hippity dippity?
Mhm.
He's finishing
He knows
your
all,
sentences.
yes, I know. Hippity dippity. That's, yes, technical term for that. But,
Oh, boy.
yeah. Well, when I'm talking to anyone outside of Matt, that's what I have to say because people are like, what?
All right. Final question. Favorite movie of all time?
It would, it's either A League of Their Own.
Okay.
Nice.
I love
Like
that
that.
movie.
That's-
Actually, it is. It's A League of Their Own.
That's a great choice.
I love that movie. My favorite movie.
It's an
That is a
awesome
great
movie. I
movie.
haven't watched it for a long time.
And again, female empowerment. It's been like a theme.
We
throughout
need
my life.
we need to get your picture on the Fiat website of like Rosie the Riveter.
Yes.
Like we need to
Yeah.
turn your picture into something like that. That would be great.
I
My
know.
wife and I just watched that movie the other day.
It's so good.
Is it? It's like kid appropriate, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
It is kid appropriate. It is. Yeah.
There's some.
Yeah, Tom
I mean-
Hanks drops a couple.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. They're a little. So.
Yeah.
that's
but
okay. I mean, kid appropriate. It as an adult looking back at the movies we watched as kids,
Right.
I
you're like,
know.
yeah, let's watch this one. This was fun to watch when I was little.
Whoops.
I watched Stand By Me with my.
Oh, I love that
Mason.
movie.
It's such a good
Yeah.
movie, and I watched it not the other day, maybe a few weeks ago with Mason, thinking, oh, this is such a great movie. It's like a kid movie, I watched it as a kid. Yeah, no, like
Yeah.
there's like I forgot about
lot,
like
yeah.
a lot of the stuff
Yep.
in there, and I just was like, okay, this is awkward.
I'm happy you've seen that movie.
Mm-hmm.
My wife has not ever.
That's a good movie too.
seen Stand By
I
Me.
cry every time. At the end. It's so fun.
Well, Lauren, I appreciate you coming on and sharing a little bit about yourself. It's been, we're super happy to have you here at Fiat. It's been a joy to have you. Not only do you bring an additional dynamic, which is always fun when you add members of the team that can help you see the world from different perspectives. Obviously, you're filling a massive need in our industry by having the view that you have. Obviously, adding a CFP to the team selfishly is awesome. That's a ton of work. I can't stress how much work it is to get that and how impressive it is that you did it, especially with 2 kids at home. And so we're super excited to have you and have been a great addition to the team to this point and will help foster this education kind of paradigm that we've set out to have. So thanks for joining us for this episode of Every Day is Saturday. And to our listeners, thank you for joining us as well. We hope that you enjoyed getting to know Lauren just a little bit. And if you're new to the podcast, please, below, you can like or subscribe to the podcast. We'd appreciate it if you do that. Feel free to share it with your friends and family too. If you want to do that, we would let you do that. That being said, thanks for joining us for this episode, and we will see all of you next Saturday.